Hi, and welcome to English-Fabule. Are you learning English? Great. Let's learn English with a very interesting story. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Let's get started.
The war in Ukraine changed how countries think about using technology in space. A key part of Russian plan was to use electronic warfare. They used powerful jammers to block and disrupt Ukrainian communications. The goal was simple: to stop the Ukrainian army from talking to each other and organizing a defense. This kind of attack on communications is normal in modern wars. But something surprising happened. The Russian jammers did not work as planned. A new technology gave Ukrainian forces a lifeline. This technology was Starlink, a satellite internet network from the private American company SpaceX. Starlink was not designed for military use. Its main purpose was to bring internet to people in remote places. But in Ukraine, it became the main communication system for the military. With Starlink, soldiers could get clear instructions. They could use drones to see the enemy and share that information in real time. This connection was strong and reliable, even during intense battles. The success of Starlink in a war was a major event. Around the world, military experts watched with great interest. But no country watched more closely than China. In Beijing, strategic planners saw a commercial company change the way a war was fought. They saw how thousands of small satellites owned by a private business could resist attacks from a major military power. This was a new and powerful idea. This realization changed things for China's leaders. They started to see Starlink differently. It was not just a successful business. It was a new tool that could change the balance of power. They understood that Starlink and systems like it were a new factor in strategic planning and national security. China began to study this new challenge and what it meant for their own future goals. 2. A new kind of satellite. To understand Starlink, we must first look at old satellites. For many years, communication satellites were very large and expensive. They were sent very high into space, more than 22,000 miles above the Earth. From this high position, they seemed to stay in one place in the sky. This works for things like television, but it has problems. The signals must travel a very long way, which makes them slow and easy to block. Starlink is completely different. It is not just one big satellite. It is a group of thousands of small satellites that work together. This is called a megaconstellation. These satellites are in low Earth orbit, or LEO. This means they are much closer to our planet, only a few hundred miles away. This new way of building a satellite network has important advantages. Because the satellites are closer, the internet they provide is very fast. The delay is very small, which is good for real-time communication. The equipment people use on the ground is also small and easy to carry. The user terminal is about the size of a pizza box, so it is portable. Most importantly, the network is very strong and resilient. With thousands of satellites working together, it is difficult to stop the whole system. If a few satellites are broken or blocked, the network can still work. This makes Starlink useful for two different purposes. It is a civilian tool that brings internet to people in remote areas, like mountains or deserts. It helps connect communities that never had good internet before. But it is also a powerful military tool. The war in Ukraine showed this clearly. Soldiers used the small terminals for fast, reliable communication on the battlefield. This helped them coordinate their plans and stay connected. Starlink is a dual-use technology, important for both peace and war. 3. China is watching. Leaders in Beijing watched the war in Ukraine very closely. They saw how Starlink helped the Ukrainian military. A private American company's technology was changing the way a war was fought. This was very interesting to China. They began to see Starlink as more than just a business. It was now a part of military planning and national security. Soon, Chinese researchers started to publish studies about Starlink. Scientists at special technical institutes like the Beijing Institute of Tracking and Telecommunications wrote many papers. These papers analyzed the new satellite technology. They wanted to understand its strengths and find its weaknesses. The government and military gave a lot of money for this important research. One very interesting study came from a university in Nanjing. It used a special computer program to model a new idea. The researchers called it a whale hunting algorithm. The name comes from the way smart animals hunt together in the ocean. The study showed how a small number of Chinese satellites could work together like a team. They modeled how just 99 satellites could approach and follow over 1,400 Starlink satellites in just 12 hours. While the paper was about new tracking methods, its military message was very clear. This kind of research shows China's focus on systems warfare. This is a modern military idea. It means that to win a war, you don't just fight soldiers. You attack the systems that support them. This includes communications, computers, and information networks. From this point of view, Starlink is a very important system for the American military. China thinks that stopping Starlink could be a key to winning a future conflict, for example, a conflict over Taiwan. It could change the balance of power. 4. A new strategic factor. Starlink is not just a new way to get internet. For military planners in Beijing, it is a new and very important part of strategy. They see the satellite network as a technology that can completely change how wars are fought. This new system is a major strategic factor for three main reasons. First, Starlink offers very reliable military communications. In a conflict, countries often try to destroy an enemy's communication satellites. China has weapons that can attack the traditional, large military satellites used by the United States. If these satellites are destroyed, it is hard for a military to operate. But Starlink is different. It has thousands of small satellites working together. It is almost impossible to destroy all of them. This means the U.S. military could continue to talk and share information even if its main satellites were gone. This makes the American military much more resilient. Second, the network could support very accurate long-range weapons. Starlink is very fast and covers the whole world. This could help guide precision systems like missiles or drones over thousands of miles. These weapons can hit very specific targets with very little warning time. Chinese analysts worry that such systems could be used to attack important leadership and command centers deep inside China. This possibility is a serious threat to their national security. Third, Starlink is a powerful tool for what strategists call information dominance. This is a key concept in modern military thinking. It means knowing everything about your enemy, while the enemy knows very little about you. It gives you a huge advantage. Starlink helps with this by connecting soldiers, surveillance drones, and commanders with information in real time. They can see the battlefield clearly and coordinate their actions perfectly. A military with this level of information has a much better chance to win any conflict. For these three reasons, Starlink is a game-changing technology. It is not just another commercial service. It is a powerful system that could shift the strategic balance of power between the United States and China. 5. Studying possible responses. Chinese researchers are thinking about how to respond to the Starlink network. They are studying different ways to stop it during a conflict. These ideas are in two main groups. The first group is called soft kill methods. The second group is hard kill methods. Soft kill means stopping a satellite without physically breaking it. This is often a better choice because it does not create dangerous junk in space. One soft kill idea is electronic warfare. This uses powerful radio signals to jam Starlink's own signals. It is like trying to talk to a friend while someone is shouting very loudly next to you. It is difficult to hear. However, stopping Starlink this way is not easy. The network is very advanced and can change its signals to avoid the jamming. Another soft kill idea is to use computer attacks, also called cyber attacks. Researchers study how to hack into the Starlink system. They could try to attack the ground stations that control the satellites. They could also attack the user terminals. But Starlink is a very big and complex network. A successful cyber attack would have to be very clever. A third soft kill idea is to use directed energy weapons. This means sending powerful beams like microwaves or lasers from the ground. These beams could damage the sensitive electronics inside a satellite and make it stop working. But this is also hard to do. The weapons need a lot of power and must aim perfectly at a small, fast-moving satellite. Hard kill methods are different. These methods physically damage or destroy the satellites. This is a more direct plan, but it is also more dangerous. When a satellite breaks, it creates thousands of small pieces of space debris that can harm other satellites. One hard-kill idea is to use kinetic weapons. These are special missiles that are launched from the ground. They fly into space and hit the Starlink satellites at very high speed. This completely destroys them. China showed it could do this in 2007 when it destroyed one of its own old satellites. Another hard-kill plan is to use co-orbital systems. This means sending an attacker satellite into the same orbit as Starlink. This attacker satellite can then get close to a Starlink satellite and damage it. Researchers have studied different ways for this to work, from using a robot arm to simply crashing into the target satellite. 6. Technical hurdles. It is very hard to take action against a large network like Starlink. There are serious technical problems or hurdles that make any attack difficult and risky. These challenges are a big reason why the network is still safe. The first hurdle is a simple numbers game. Starlink has thousands of satellites in orbit, and SpaceX, the company that owns Starlink, builds more very fast. They can produce more than 100 new satellites every month. The company plans to build thousands more each year. If an attacker destroys satellites, SpaceX can launch replacements very quickly. This makes it almost impossible to cause lasting damage to the network. Also, the satellites are not simple targets. They are smart and can move to avoid danger. This makes hitting them with a weapon very difficult. An attacker would need to launch a huge number of weapons to have any real effect. The second hurdle is the high cost. Building a weapon to destroy a satellite costs millions of dollars. In contrast, each Starlink satellite is much cheaper to build and launch. This creates a big financial problem for any attacker. They would have to spend a lot of money to destroy satellites, while SpaceX could replace them for a much lower price. This is not a smart use of money for any country. A long attack would become too expensive to continue. The biggest hurdle is the danger of space debris. This is the greatest risk of using hard kill weapons that physically destroy things. When a satellite is destroyed, it explodes into thousands of small pieces. These pieces fly around the Earth at very high speeds, like bullets. This debris can hit and destroy other satellites, creating even more debris. This can start a terrible chain reaction, an idea called the Kessler syndrome. It could create a field of garbage in space that makes it dangerous for everyone. No country could launch new rockets or use satellites safely. This would hurt the attacker just as much as everyone else. For this reason, destroying many satellites is a risk that most leaders do not want to take. 7. The world's reaction. The United States is watching the new situation in space very carefully. American military leaders know that space is now very important for national security. They are not just watching, they are also taking action. A new part of the American military, the U.S. Space Force, is working to protect satellites. Their main job is to keep American space technology safe from any kind of attack. They are also developing ways to stop the space weapons of other countries. The U.S. military now sees space as a war-fighting domain, like land, sea, or air. They must be prepared to defend their assets there. SpaceX is also working hard to make its Starlink system stronger. The company is adding new technology to its thousands of satellites to make them more resilient. For example, they now use advanced technology to resist jamming. Jamming is when an enemy tries to block a satellite signal with electronic noise. Starlink satellites can now change their signals to avoid this. The satellites are also able to move. If a weapon or another satellite comes too close, they can change their position to avoid the danger. These important improvements make it much harder for anyone to damage the large Starlink network. The U.S. military needed an even more secure communication system. For this reason, SpaceX created a special version of Starlink called Starshield. Starshield is designed only for government and military use. It has higher security features and stronger protections than the normal Starlink system that people can buy. This special network gives the American military a very reliable and safe way to communicate around the world. It is a clear example of how the U.S. government is working closely with private companies to use the best new technology for national security. This new activity in space is not just between the United States and China. Other powerful nations are also building up their space capabilities. Russia, for instance, has special inspector satellites. Many experts believe these are actually weapons that can get close to and attack other satellites in orbit. India also showed that it has anti-satellite weapons. In 2019, it used a missile to destroy one of its own old satellites. This is part of a global trend. More countries see space as a critical area for their military, making it a more competitive and dangerous place. 8. Our future in space. The main laws for space are very old. The Outer Space Treaty was written in 1967 during the Cold War. At that time, only the governments of a few powerful countries could send anything to space. Today, the situation is completely different. Private companies are now major players. A company like SpaceX can build and launch thousands of satellites. This means a private business, and sometimes a single person, can make decisions that affect international security and wars. The old rules were not made for this new reality. They do not give clear answers to today's complex questions about the use of commercial satellites in a conflict. So, what does our future in space look like? There are a few possible paths. The first is deterrence. This is when major countries have space weapons, but they are afraid to use them because others can attack back. It creates a tense but possibly stable peace. The second path is defense. This means countries focus on protecting their satellites. They can make them stronger with new technology or build large numbers of them so the system can survive an attack. The third path is diplomacy. This is when world leaders come together to agree on new, modern rules for space. This path is difficult because it is hard to check if every nation is following the rules. The choice is extremely important for all of humanity. Our modern civilization depends on satellites every single day. They provide the GPS for our cars and phones. They make global financial transactions possible. And they help us monitor climate change and natural disasters. A conflict in space would damage these essential systems for everyone on Earth. A war would also create a dangerous field of fast-moving space debris. This cloud of junk could make low Earth orbit unusable for future generations, stopping space exploration for a very long time. Which path do you believe is the best way to secure a peaceful future in space for everyone?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.